It is the Matt Mosley Show, and man, it's so much to react to. This is one of my favorite shows of the year, and fortunately, it seems like over the years, a lot of our viewers share in this, a lot of our listeners, especially back in the radio days, because it's that first night we've seen of the draft. This one, the Cowboys had 2 picks. Now, again, Monday will be fun too because we'll come back and react to the entirety of the draft. Cowboys only have the 1 pick tonight. They picked number 92 in the 3rd round, unless they're able to come up. They did grab, they gave up 2/5 to move up to get Caleb Downs, but then they got 2/4 back in moving back from 20 to 23. I know Kevin Hoosier Hall, who's with me today, as always, will be anxious to weigh in on that, because what the Cowboys did do is, they now, Kevin, you love stuff like this, like weird little things that have happened. The 2021 Cowboys, draft, they did trade with the Eagles. Well, the Cowboys ended up getting Micah Parsons in that draft. Worked out pretty well. Who did the Eagles get in that draft? Oh, I believe his name was Devontae Smith. Who did the Eagles get when they moved up last night to 20? And boy, poor old Steelers. Steelers thought they had a wide receiver, and they didn't. And both the Cowboys and the Eagles just double-crossed them, but they really double-crossed themselves. But Mekhi Lemon now goes to the Eagles, the USC. Oh, look at those shades. Love that look Mekhi Lemon's going with. So, Kevin, and again, you love little weird things like this that have happened, in trades and things. So, in a weird sort of way, the Cowboys are responsible for the receivers, the 2 starting receivers moving forward, because AJ Brown's probably going to get traded soon, right?
Yep.
And then so Lemon will step in, and then Lemon. So the Cowboys could get tortured for the next few years. Now, hey, if Malachi Lawrence turns out to be some kind of a buzzsaw as a defensive end, as an edge rusher, oh, man, we already got him in the uniform and everything. He's long, he's big, he's fast. He's Malachi Lawrence.
And it could have been, and maybe should have been, Akeem Messidor. But he was already gone because of all of the nonsense.
Well, again, we won't know for sure.
Yeah.
The Cowboys, I think, might say that maybe Messidor and Malachi Lawrence, they had right there together. There was an animated discussion going on in the war room right before the Cowboys were going to kind of getting ready to pick at 23. So we'll never know if the Cowboys would have taken Messidor at 20. Would they have taken, and even think if they had just moved back to 22 instead of 23. Anyway, they moved back to 23. Now, again, they get some of their draft capital back. And, Kev, we should point out that people seem to think that this draft is loaded, where it's a little bit on the top end. It was like, it's not that deep. The huge value seems to be in that 3rd, 4th, 5th round. And so the Cowboys were able to grab 2/4 in moving back to 23, move back 3 spots. Now, again, we'll all watch this, Kev. If Messidor goes on, and let's say he becomes the best pass rusher in this draft, well, what are we going to do? We're going to do the same thing we used to do to him on TJ Watt. Wait, who did the Cowboys take instead of TJ Watt? Well, they took the kid from Michigan, who's no longer in the league. And he was awful. And no, I'm not talking about the other. You got to, when you talk about like first rounders from Michigan that the Cowboys have missed on, it starts to be a growing list. I'm not talking about Mozzie. I'm talking about the pass rusher a couple of years before that the Cowboys took at, I believe, number 27. And TJ Watt just has gone on to become one of the best pass rushers in the game. The Steelers got him late in the first round. And by the way, Steelers and Ravens usually sit there and wait and take great players. I would say, Kev, that the young man, the Ravens took, I thought they made a good pick at 14. That guard, they lost their center to the Raiders on a bit, Linderbaum, in free agency. I thought that you spell his name, Ioane. He's just a massive man. He's a massive guard. He's a plug-and-play guy. I thought that was just, hey, quintessential Ravens. Let's see who comes to us. Okay, let's rebuild the interior of our offensive line. The Steelers, wow. And again, this show's kind of loose, purposely. We do have the guy who called the draft last night on 105.3, The Fan. He was kind of their point person. And then he's also a well-known play-by-play guy because he does a lot of Baylor games, Baylor softball, Baylor baseball. He really does it all. And we're talking about Kyle Yeomans, a child of McLennan County, a young man who went to Midway High School, and a great guy. He's got a lot of moving parts today, but if he can, he's going to pop on with us at 2 o'clock. I just thought that'd be kind of fun. I've also talked to, as I said, some GMs and scouts around the league. And Kev, we'll take our first break, and then I'll just tell our people, because we got a bunch of people joining us on Twitter. I did look up, Kevin, at some point last night, and the Hawks were on the screen where we were doing we did the draft show, the Mosley Show and the Pete Souza Show. Kevin, we looked up at one point. I don't know if I've texted you this. You may have heard, you may have not. And honestly, I was a bit worried because we were kind of getting some technical issues sorted out. And Pete and our buddy Fernando and Stephanie was on the scene. And we kind of, Kevin, stop me if you've ever heard that one before. But we kind of were able to put some things together and get our show going. And it was a live audience, a really nice, large gathering there at the this place is called the Argyle Open. It's an indoor golf simulator, huge TVs, great bar, great patio out in Argyle, Texas. I mean, I'll be honest, from my house, I can probably get to Waco sooner, but like for people out in the Fort Worth, Argyle, Denton, that part of the Metroplex, I got to tell you, get over there. And Kev, we looked up at one point and we had over 13,000 people in the queue. 13,000 people watching. Now, I know you say Mosley, ESPN had 13 million or 20 million. Well, okay, we're not ESPN, but I thought that was pretty cool that we just threw on our show. I mean, we tried to promote it, but I mean, let's not act like, Kevin, we broke the bank trying to, promote it at every place in the world. And we just looked up at one point, we had 13,000 people in there. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Now, again, speaking of all the people queued up with us today, if you're watching us on Twitter, let me encourage you to go over to our YouTube page, watch it that way, but also subscribe. That's a good measure for us. Kevin and I, and Scotty before him, we were able to kind of pretty quickly get this show right over 5,000. So we're well into the 5,000. What we'd like to do, though, is get it up there around 10,000, and then we'll kind of keep going. And again, at some point, Kevin, I may just get my wallet out and spend whatever money it is to kind of juice the system a little bit. But we've just done this organically. So we're proud of the little community we've built. So we encourage everybody listening on Twitter today, because we got a lot of draft people like, what's Mosley saying? What's this about this? And I want to remind people at about 1:35, I will share those haikus. I say, what's the haiku? well, it's a little, kind of poem thing, little fun, little, what is it, like 4 sentences. I don't know the actual definition of a haiku, but they're kind of fun. Peter King used to do them into his columns. A major general manager in GM in the NFL was able to give me, he's done this before, so I love it when he does this. He was able to give me a haiku on each of the Cowboys draft picks. And I think you'll enjoy this because it gives you a little insight. And I'm going to share that with you coming up in about 10 to 15 minutes. All right. That kind of thought process and all of that. Now, Kev, we've got a lot of things that we can share with you. And in the 2 o'clock hour, in fact, we may have the guest. We may have Kyle Yeoman stopping by, and he'll have some interesting things for us. Again, he's been in charge of the Cowboys, DallasCowboys.com, a lot of their coverage, as well as 105.3 The Fan, the Cowboys flagship. He also does a lot of Baylor stuff. So we might ask him a little bit about, Baylor baseball, Baylor softball, whatever. But we'll also have Kevin in the 2 o'clock. We've got a clip we're going to share with you. Ed Werder and I were up very late last night doing the Doomsday podcast, also part of the Rogue family. This is considered one of the great Cowboys podcasts in the country. And so we thought that might be appropriate today just to share with you a little bit of our work last night. And in doing so, gives us a chance to share with you Doomsday. Some of you maybe have not subscribed to the Doomsday podcast. Also gives you us a chance to share some of the insight. I thought Ed did a good job of gathering. Ed called some executives across the league to get their takes on Caleb Downs and Malachi Lawrence. Okay, Kev,
So what is your take on the first round, trading up one spot and giving up the 2/5 to get said Caleb Downs?
I think, Kev, when you're in love with a player and you didn't expect him to be there, and that's not just us. I mean, again, we don't come on here praising the Cowboys. I mean, we call it like we see it. But you and I both, and we talk to draft experts, whether it be Bill Barnwell, Eric Edholm will be on in the coming days, some of the build-up, Nick Harris the other day. I think we both knew that Caleb Downs was one of the highly coveted defensive players, right? There were about 5 guys that you were kind of hoping, could they come to us? Now, could they have stayed at 12 and gotten him? Probably. The problem with that was always going to be there the Dolphins are. They knew the Dolphins weren't going to take him. They're talking to the Dolphins about this, but they could have had it happen to them, Kevin, what happened to those Steelers. The Steelers are already on the phone. Here's our man. Hey, Mackay, here we are. We cannot wait to talk to you. Boom.
You want to see it?
Here come the Eagles. Well, wait. Well, I do want to see that, but let's stay with because you asked for my reaction to Downs.
Because I need to remind everybody what you said yesterday on yesterday's podcast when we had our Truth or Trash episode, and I asked you about Caleb Downs. Check this out. Will absolutely fall to the Cowboys at 12, and they will definitely take him. Is this truth or trash?
Trash. Trash. I don't think he'll fall there. I mean, I just think he's such a great player. But again, we're going to find out, aren't we? All these people are saying, hey, positions aren't that big. It's not so much about position anymore. It's about, is he a great player or not? I'll say 2 things are true here. It's trash that he's going to fall, but if he does fall, it's trash the Cowboys are going to take him. Well, thanks. Yes, please go find everything.
Film is the most important thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I appreciate that. No, I will fall on my sword on that deal. they haven't taken, and I brought this up, and of course you didn't bring we didn't have the context of all this, but I thought it was a fair point that literally you have to go back to 2002, the last time they took a safety in the first round. So I was dealing with years and years of context. It had been 24 years since they had taken one. Now, I got a little over my skis there because I didn't think he was going to fall there. In the moment, and it was a good moment on the air for us yesterday because I was tipped off fairly soon when it was headed this way, Kev, and our 13,000 people had gathered. I was tipped off from inside the building. They were going for downs. And so we were able to kind of share that with our folks. Now, I was saying that yesterday out of the emotion, like away from the emotion of the draft. I will say once Downs was there, I totally changed my tune. I was like, well, they have to do it. This is the best defender. They have to do that. So I think in the emotionless period of them not being on the clock, when they were doing our show, I was able to say all these things. The reason I was able to say the second part of that is because I thought not in a million years would he be there. He was there.
My information was correct. I figured he would.
All right. Some people, maybe you did. I don't remember you exactly saying that on the air, but I'm glad you're saying it now. We do need a real good friend of the show who used to come on with me weekly, who again blew up, and it's a little harder to get hold of him now. You do have to hand it to Daniel Jeremiah from the NFL Network. He nailed Downs he had the Cowboys taking Downs,
right?
Probably at 12, right? So we're going to give him credit for that, even though they took him at 11. And he got Malachi Lawrence. That's to nail both Cowboys picks is pretty dang good. And
this also sets up an interesting matchup for the two of us this year.
As it Josh
will be Downs versus Downs in Indianapolis. Brother versus brother on the same field. Not many times has this happened.
Yeah. It's happened with a Cowboys player in recent years. I wish I could remember. Did Marquise Bell have a...
Was it Diggs?
Well, they were brothers. I can't remember if they played against each other. There was another Cowboys brother combination. Oh, man. Of course, we had the famous Super Bowl brothers with the Kelseys, right?
Right.
We had that whole situation.
But once again,
this would be fun.
One of the only times that I can think of where the two brothers are actually on opposite sides of the ball will be on the field at the same time. Because you had the Gronkowskis, same side of the ball. You had the Kelseys, same side of the ball.
Yeah, good point.
Watts, both sides, same side.
All right, let me actually answer your question, though. We've had a lot of stuff and a lot of good stuff to talk about. But like my thought on this pick, now that it's happened, I just think, okay, is he the smartest player in the draft? That's what some people say. I don't know. I don't have his Wonderlic or whatever they use now to know how. I think it's great. It's funny that some players, we hold it against them that don't ever run a 40, right? Or do the vertical, do all that stuff. And for some reason, Downs was never held against him. Now, why would a man never run a 40 for NFL scouts? Probably because he's not that fast. Is the real deal. Now, you turn on the film and you watch him, and the fact, I would say the only kind of strange thing that's happening here is, before I even say this thing about Saban, because Saban had some very interesting things to say. This guy is so extremely versatile. And since we're bragging on this new defensive coordinator who wants to do all these things, and he'll have some 4-2-5, he'll have some 4-3, he's going to be really multiple. I will tell you, Malachi Lawrence is going to be standing up there rushing. All right. You don't want to try to get Malachi Lawrence dropping back. Oh, Malachi, let's teach you how to cover some running backs and all that. Let the man pin his ears back and go get the quarterback. That's what he does. That's what he did at UCF. Now, Downs is a different animal. He can play deep and come downhill and make all kinds of plays. He can cover. He can play nickel. Now, Jerry is all caught up in this nickel. Now, let me say something that seemed to resonate with our audience last night, though, because I did cover this man. I covered Darren Woodson. Is he Darren Woodson? Who knows? I hope. I mean, it'd be awesome. It'd be awesome if he's Darren Woodson. But Cowboys didn't even know what they were getting with Darren Woodson. They picked him in the second round. He ends up becoming one of the best safeties to ever play the game. Why can't he get in the hall? I don't understand. Maybe they don't like safeties either. In the NFL, historically, safeties don't go very high in the draft. It's, again, happened with Caleb Downs here. He fell to the Cowboys. I think they just feel – I think they're over the moon because, one, this is like 1A and 1B. One, he's just – okay, let me finish the thought on Woodson. Woodson ends up being a guy who can line up, cover the slot, play deep, big hitter, crazy smart, like all the things you desperately would love in a safety. In my mind, right up there with Lynch, Palomalu, Reed. When you have that discussion of all those greats I just mentioned, you got to throw Woody in there. You got to throw Darren Woodson. Why is he not with him in the Hall of Fame? I don't know. I mean, nobody's given me a good reason. Downs does a lot of Woodson-like things. In terms of his ability to play the nickel, he's probably better than Woodson. I mean, instinctive. And the thing that executives across the league are saying to me today is all he does is make plays. All he does is make plays. From a speed, arm length, there's some things you could poke some holes in him. Now, we don't look at our safeties like we do our edge rushers like Bain or even cornerbacks and go, oh my gosh, he doesn't have the longest arms in the world. Let's not. Fortunately, with safety, it's a little different thing. They're playing a lot of times, away, quite a bit away from the line of scrimmage. I mean, I've heard a couple people say that single high safety hasn't really shown that that's what he can do. There's a couple of things, you could poke holes in. But the thing is, this guy makes huge plays. He's instinctive. He was great for Saban at Alabama. And then he goes to Ohio State and he gets even better. And Matt Patricia used him beautifully. The one thing I thought that was kind of interesting last night, because Jerry and the Cowboys were like getting the post-game the post draft news conference and get into this thing about nickel-oriented nickel. We had this nickel defender, even right up there with getting an edge rusher. That was thing. Saban sat there last night and said, I wouldn't mess with all this nickel stuff. The guy is an unbelievable safety. Just line him up and let him play safety. And move him around the field and have people have to prepare for him and all that kind of stuff, but let the man just play safety. I thought that was interesting. Because the Cowboys, in sort of justifying taking a safety where they did, seem to be highlighting and focused on all the versatility, nickel. And Saban was kind of like, that's great, but let's not let's not overdo it with all this nickel talk. That's interesting to me. I'll just sum it up with this: great player, great college career. Ryan Day and Nick Saban love him. I meant to send that clip to you, Kevin. One of my favorite clips last night. I thought Ryan Day had a very funny moment on the podium last night. I think Herb Street, and I don't know how many people watched the college thing. I was kind of watching a lot of the main thing, and then I was having to drive places and all that kind of stuff. And so I listened to a lot of the radio coverage, which is good. They at one point they were asking Ryan Day about Downs, and in fact, and Ryan Day with a straight face said when he arrived at Ohio State, this kid was just a mess. And obviously he was just gigging Saban, but it was a very funny moment because for a minute everybody's like, what? And then they started laughing. But it was a funny moment from Ryan Day. But he was great at Bama, unbelievable at Ohio State. And I just think, Arvell Reese and all those guys from that team, Carnell Tate, these are brilliant, Sonny Styles. These are brilliant players. But I do think you could find people at Ohio State, and I'm not talking about fans. I'm talking about, people that work at Ohio State who would say this was our best football player. Maybe Arvell Reese has a higher ceiling, right? As a pass rusher, as a potential edge guy. Maybe Sonny Styles is going to be an unbelievable off the ball linebacker. Maybe Tate's going to be a true number one. But Caleb Downs just gets unbelievable feedback. All right, tell you what we'll do. I do want to share with you what I've heard from an AFC GM. All right, a major AFC executive about both Caleb Downs and their second pick in the first round. That would be Malachi Lawrence out of UCF. I'll share that with you next.
The Riesel Fair is back and bigger than ever. Bring the whole family for a day packed with fun, from thrilling rides, delicious food, local vendors, and live music Friday night. Saturday music begins at 2 p.m. Admission is $5 for adults, 2 to 12 years, $3. 2 and under are free. Mark your calendar and join us for the Riesel Fair, May 7th through 9th. The Riesel Fair, where memories are waiting just for you.
This year, I made a New Year's resolution. I want every business to own a new copier from CTWP. Call me, Leroy the Copier Dog. Let's get you a copier delivered today. CTWP, your local copier company.
When you strive for greatness, you have a target on your back. When it comes to finances, we're all targets for scammers. But with the right game plan, you can protect yourself. Don't get faked by fraud.
Here's a tip. Don't buy from social media ads unless the ad is from a verified company. When you click those ads, you open yourself up to fraud. If it seems too good to be true, it almost always is.
This message is brought to you by Central National Bank.
At Schmaltz Sandwich Shop, we don't just make sandwiches, we build them with fresh ingredients, bold flavors, and homemade baked bread every single day. Toasty on the outside, goodness on the inside. Schmaltz Sandwich Shop in Waco is locally owned and operated since 1975 with 2 locations in Waco, Town West off Valley Mills and downtown off 5th Street. Whether it's lunch, dinner, or just a craving, we got the perfect bite waiting for you.
It's the Restore Clarity Focus Patch, my little secret weapon for staying sharp, focused, and on task. Each box comes with simple instructions inside, so you always know exactly how to apply it. Each patch lasts for 3 days. I love that I can wear it all day.
But boy, it looked effortless.
Man, watch this.
Layups, floaters, threes. He was like an unsolvable equation.
I was born like this.
His resilience, his strength, his belief, adversity never stood a chance.
Know your power.
All right, it is the Mosley Show. Again, thanks to everybody. Man, I am hearing, it came out last night, to the Argyle Open, Argyle, Texas. It's on out there, but if you're in the Denton, Fort Worth, Argyle, Joshua, I'm trying to think what else might be out that direction. That's a really cool place. All right, and I've got people that listen to this show kind of from all over, and some of you are out Fort Worth direction. But if you got kiddos, it really is kind of a neat thing because in not just golf simulators, it's kind of a golf-related, golf-themed bar. Kevin, I have to say, I'm always impressed and amazed at people who have the vision. This is a relatively like brand new, nice-looking shopping retail area out there in Argyle, and like, I mean, I can't even begin to guess how much money you would spend on opening something this elaborate and this nice. And then for it to seemingly looks like it's going to work out. Like this place was covered up last night for our show. I'm not trying to take all the credit. The draft was there, and it has a beautiful bar. But I'm always amazed. I'm like, who does that? Like, who has the vision? Now you go, well, Mosley, there's a lot of rich people out there. Okay. But some people, what they do, it's kind of like our old buddy Nelson Rue from Schmaltz's. Now Britt Tully has it. But years and years ago, when he was like, how would I ever open a restaurant? He went down to one of the local banks in Waco and he took out a loan and he opened Schmaltz. I mean, that's how you did it. It's not like, oh, he already had made a bunch of money. No, he was like 24 years old. Didn't have any money. He's like, I'd really like to have a restaurant. And then Schmaltz has become one of the most popular and enduring restaurants in all of Waco. In fact, Kevin, we need to do a Schmaltz trivia question. We need a kind of a draft-related trivia question. In fact, Kevin, let's do one right now. Do you have a trivia? Can we put the thing up? Trivia. It'll say Trivia Thursday. That's fine. I think today's Friday. I've lost track. I do believe today is Friday. When was the last time? Here's how you win this thing, by the way. Either at Matt Mosley on Twitter, at MattMosley, throw me the answer, or on our YouTube page, give us the answer, and we'll get you 2 free sandwiches. And if there's anybody out there that we haven't gotten the sandwiches to, just contact me or DM me or something. Okay, I promise you, we're good for it, and we've got the sandwich, we've got the coupons. We'll give it to you because they're so great. And I love my Schmaltz's sandwiches. I love the bread. I love the meat. I love the whole scene. It is so great. Wow, what a great, and it continues. Nelson's finally turned it over. He sold it, but Britt Tully's done a great job taking over. And that is, I used to work with a guy named Brett Tully in newspapers, so it's very hard for me to keep straight. But anyway, he does a great job. Kev, here's the trivia question. And if you know the answer, either YouTube it to us or Twitter me or tweet it at Matt Mosley. When was the last time before last night the Cowboys took a safety in the first round, and what was his name? All right. If you were listening in the last segment, I I talked about this. I think I gave you the year. I don't think I mentioned the player's name. I haven't today. This man at one point was either engaged or dated a member of a famous female music band, or that didn't sound right. A female band. Is it a band or like a group? Let's just call them as a pop group. All right. But when was the last time the Cowboys drafted a safety, and what was his name before they did Caleb Downs last night? All right. If you reach out to us, you get the right answer. 2 free sandwiches at Schmaltz's. You can use one day for lunch and then go back the next day for lunch or the next week, however you want to do it. But thank you, Schmaltz's. We appreciate you guys. We appreciate you guys so much. Okay. We may be having a draft guest at 2. All right. This is kind of what we would call a fluid show. We're going to break at about 55 in about 7 minutes, and then we'll do that. I promised you, though, I have been out there talking to people about the Cowboys, and I love this. There's one executive, longtime executive in the league, and back in the day, he used to give me haikus, little, 4-sentence, like a poem, but not. Kevin, are you familiar with the haiku? I mean, do you remember ever, like in school, learning about a haiku?
I actually, in my younger days, won an honorable mention in a poem contest for a haiku.
Nice. Do you remember what it was about?
I do not know. But a haiku is a 3-line poem. Okay. It does not have to rhyme at all. It's not about the rhyming. It's about the syllables. So the first line has 5 syllables. Second line has 7. And the third line is back to 5. So that's kind of the structure and the format. Doesn't need to rhyme.
Oh, wait. The third line's back to 5. What's the first line? The first line is 5?
5, 7, 5.
Oh, man. Look, Kevin, you were ready for this haiku thing. Okay.
My mother did teach English literature stuff.
Okay, good. And
so is that why? Her proud.
Okay, I'm gonna every once in a while, if I catch you on grammar, I'm gonna say, hey.
Absolutely.
I mean, we're gonna blame that. Okay, here we go though. Here is his haiku on Malachi Lawrence, the Cowboys' second pick that they picked at 23 after moving down from 20. All right, Kevin, let's timestamp this, by the way. 38, 33. All right, okay. I just like to do this for our buddy Brandon. All right, so this is a longtime executive in the league, and I've had he helps me sometimes with. I'll send him a Cowboys breakdown. I'll send him like, hey, can you help me? What do you think of this guy? What do you think of this guy the Cowboys took? And he's always been extremely helpful. Here is his haiku, which meets the 575 standard. I didn't even remember that for a haiku. But this is what his haiku on Malachi Lawrence. Size and speed in full, but his eyes wait on the prize, and he gets blocked bad. Okay, Kev. Size and speed in full, but his eyes wait on the prize, and he gets blocked bad. Ooh. Yeah. All right, Kevin, return to the show for a second. Let's diagnose that haiku. First of all, it hits all the things you were saying. It hits the parameters. Mm-hmm. The good news is what we kind of knew about Lawrence. Great size, great speed. It's there. Now, but his eyes wait on the prize. To me, that means maybe a little bit slow to diagnose. Like if something's about to happen over here, he's not always doesn't always sniff everything out. That's kind of what that says to me. And this is the rough one. And he gets blocked bad. Okay. That would seem to mean has a little trouble sometimes getting off blocks, shedding and doing what he needs to do. Now, again,
he enjoys pancakes for breakfast, maybe.
I hope not. But, with the size and the speed, you hope that's enough to just keep getting better. The thing that they said over and over, which is kind of a little bit ridiculous, if you ask me, his best football's ahead of him. Well, are you ever going to say of a player that's coming out of college, his best football's already behind him? No, you never say that about a prospect. So, again, to me, that doesn't tell me that much.
As players get older and older coming into the draft, you might be able to say that.
I guess, but I don't.
You wouldn't try to.
I still think that doesn't tell me that much. His best football is ahead of him. I sure hope so. That's why we're drafting him in the first round. We certainly hope it's the best. I hope his best wasn't behind him at Ohio State. Played great there, though. So he needs to get better. Needs to keep getting better if he's going to be better in the NFL. Oh, okay. Here is the haiku. Here is the haiku for Caleb Downs. All right. There he is. All right, here we go. Short arms and too slow. All he does is make big plays, and he will do so for the boys. Okay. All right. I think this is mostly positive. Short arms on a safety, not as big a deal as short arms for edge rushers and maybe even cornerbacks. Too slow? Didn't test in the combine. Didn't run, I don't think, on his pro day. They simply said, here's the tape. This guy can flat out play. He's not going to run. Why would you choose not to run? Because you think you're probably going to run a 4.6 is why. So there you go. I mean, that is what at least one executive thinks of him. I love it. So I would say I think the Downs is mostly like, yeah, they made a great pick. I think the Lawrence one was kind of like, I don't know. Somebody told me that Saban didn't know his mic was on when the Lawrence pick happened or something, and it was overheard saying, man, that's a reach or something like that. Kevin, see if we can get our hands on that.
I was just thinking that that's a bit of a reach, and maybe a reach that you wouldn't want to do with Caleb Downs' arms.
Well, I mean, obviously, yeah. I mean, they play different positions, and so. Are you making jokes? Is that what you're doing? Okay, I'm sorry. I was thinking for a second. I thought you were.
I know sometimes serious. I'm known for my deep analyst, but
I don't know.
Sometimes it's just jokes.
Yes, your deep analysis certainly known for. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We may be having. Let me see. I'll check my latest. Okay, we may have big time guests showing up. Big time play-by-play guy. Great Central Texas ties. Kyle Yeomans joining us next.
Enjoy a quiet atmosphere with beautiful river views at the Brazos Landing, located in Waco along the Brazos River across from McLean Stadium. Enjoy homemade dishes like shrimp and grits, chicken piccata, braised short ribs, prime New York steaks, and more. Plus, enjoy a delicious dessert like creme brulee or key lime pie. Open for lunch and dinner Tuesday through Sunday. Brazos Landing in Waco, the only place where I-35 and the Brazos River meet.
all-new 2026 Jeep Cherokee is back. Roomier, smarter, and ready for city streets, the highway, and the road less traveled. Advanced safety tech, available 4x4 confidence, and premium comfort, and an amazing 37 mpg built for weekdays and weekend getaways. And meet the all-new 2026 Dodge Charger, now in 2-door and 4-door. Legendary muscle with modern performance, next-gen tech, and unforgettable style. If you've been waiting for something new, this is it. Visit Allen Samuels Dodge in Waco. Come by, let's be friends.
Lake Waco Golf Club is a semi-private facility nestled along the north point of Lake Waco, one of the few facilities in Texas to have a full 18-hole regulation golf course as well as an executive 18-hole par 3 golf course. Plus, check out their bar and grill, which is open to the public. And if you're not a golfer, then enjoy time by the pool or even enjoy fishing around Lake Waco. Become a member today and call to book your tee time. Lake Waco Golf Club, where family and friends fun begins. Check them out at lakewacogc.com for more information.
Bumblebee Blinds of Waco and Temple is your one-stop shop for custom window treatment, transforming your vision into reality. Choose from a selection of shades, blinds, shutters, and curtains. Bumblebee Blinds stands behind our service and products, ensuring peace of mind with our trusted warranty. Call Bumblebee Blinds today to schedule your design consultation. Bumblebee Blinds, simplifying window treatments one covering at a time. BumblebeeBlinds.com.
Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. NordVPN.com. That's NORDVPN.com. Welcome to Kitbag, the ultimate destination for football fans. Whether you're cheering for Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United, or any other top club, for true football passion, think Kitbag. Visit kitbag.com today. That's KITBAG.com. Kitbag.
Our patented handles were launched in 2018. We continue to push the boundaries of strength training. Join us in making your training more natural and effective. Visit Engels90.com to learn more and revolutionize your workout.
We offer fast shipping, exceptional customer support, and furniture solutions that stand up to high traffic environment. Elevate your space with BizChair's vast selection of stylish, reliable, and cost-effective furniture. Visit us today at bizchair.com to transform your business.
Circulon C1 Series Clad with Scratch Defense Non-Stick. Maximize cooking, minimize cleaning. Discover the unmatched durability and elegance scratch-free, worry-free, forever.
At Tusain's, we understand that maintaining a healthy lifestyle can be challenging, especially in today's fast-paced world. That's why our mission is to make fitness accessible to everyone, anywhere. Visit Tusains.com today and start your journey to better health. That's TOUSAINS.com.
Farmhounds offers natural treats and chews made with quality products that support family farm, regenerative agriculture, and humane farming practices. Give your dog the best with wholesome, organic ingredients that promote health and happiness. Shop now at farmhounds.com.
And now back to the highly decorated Mosley draft show, post day one. And we got Baylor stuff coming up tomorrow. Got a lot going on. We may have, I'm trying to be in touch with our possible guest at 2 p.m. I was just making sure he had the link. I gave that to you, Kevin. Yeah, I gave it to you. So we should be good there. So he may be showing up. He may not. I mean, you just never know what'll happen on the old Mosley show. I did not exactly give him, in typical Mosley fashion, I did not exactly give him just like a huge heads up. I just kind of thought, I got to thinking, I'm like, man, it'd be kind of fun to hear from him today. And so I like to keep this day loose because I talk to a lot of executives, and this is when I can really share information and bring a lot of stuff to the table. So while we wait, and Kev, I'll try to keep peeking up there and just see if he pops on. I'm going to look and see if
I got my eyes on it.
Yeah, thank you, buddy.
Yeah.
Thank you. I just like to look up there so I can give him a proper intro. He's on his way. He's on his way. So we'll keep a lookout for him. I'm getting more and more reviews coming in.
Here's my question.
Executives. Yeah.
Who do you think had the worst round one? What team?
It's interesting when a team like the Bills, I don't know if it was the worst. It's just odd when you just keep trading down, right? Now, you go, some people in their fan base might go, genius, guys. You didn't like anybody there at 26 or wherever you were, and just keep trading down and create all these opportunities.
In a draft like this, like you mentioned, where it's kind of middle of the pack loaded, maybe they did win by actually not making a pick at all and just collecting.
Yeah, that's interesting. I thought the Rams, that was just strange. First of all, I was kind of shocked that they even had a pick, right? I mean, they usually have a little different attitude when it comes to that. They usually just kind of throw those things around and get rid of them.
Maybe they did.
Yeah. I mean, Ty Simpson, first of all, there's still, so much uncertainty about him. His relative lack of height, I would say, is an issue. Just being kind of slight, honestly. Just this whole frame is not. It's not the most NFL looking body you could find. Okay, Kev, it is time. He has joined us. It is time for Kyle Yeomans to enter Mosley post first round, first day. It's a fun show. And Kyle, I just got to thinking today, I listened to you all night driving. I had to do a live show out in Argyle, Texas. And I was just listening to you and I'm like, my gosh, he's got like 6 different people he's got to get involved here. This is an interesting, and I got to hear the Cowboys' second pick through y'all. And I thought it was a really fun show. Again, sometimes you got to watch it because you can get people. And again, not only do you have, good people, but you have big personalities. I mean, Vach and Brazos, and so anyway, I thought you did a great job. And so I'm sitting there today and I was asking all my executives, I'm like, what'd you think about this pick? What'd you think about this pick? And I'm like, I should get Kyle on because I enjoyed that show so much last night. So thank you for making the time. You didn't have to get dressed up for me. I mean, I appreciate it. If I had known, I would have taken off the sunglasses, the cap. I wouldn't have put on a tie, but I would dress up a little bit more. But you look very nice, sir.
Well, thank you. As soon as you said it was a Central Texas-based audience, then I said I have to dress up for my people down there in the Super Syntax region. So that's why I had to throw on the suit and tie. But appreciate all the kind words, Matt. It was a fun night. It was a long night, and it's a long weekend. We're on the air for 20 hours over 48 total hours this weekend. So it gets crazy for a little bit. But at least, like you said, I've got 6 others that are in the room that I can pass the ball to, and I could just kind of play point guard for a little bit, and they've got the personality to carry us the rest of the way.
So where's Vach? Where are some of these people going when you say, well, he left the room for a while and they just came back in? Are they having to do like other pods and other things, or are they just going to kind of like watch it in a different manner than maybe the way y'all are watching it? What happens when guys come and go, or are they going out to make a call to check in with like a source? Is there a lot of all that going on during the show?
Well, I think the biggest thing for our coverage, and it used to not be this way in our podcast studio that I'm actually sitting in now, we only have 5 microphones. We only have 5 inputs that we can use. So we rotate through on an hourly schedule just to make sure everybody gets the right amount of hours and kind of rotates through for the microphone. But the door is always open and people can come in and out. Or like you said, if there is a situation where Nick Harris is getting a phone call or Bobby Belt is getting a phone call, and they can kind of give us some inside information to do so, they have the ability to walk out, come back in. But yeah, they're mostly watching from a different office and a different part of the Star. or they're outside on the phone or doing content themselves. I know Vach, I think, went live on YouTube at some point when he was off the air last night. So lots of content minds all coming together at once. You gotta balance it all.
Yeah. So that's why you didn't ask me to participate. Not enough phone jacks or not enough. Yeah, I get it. It's starting to kind of come.
If we ever have an opening, Matt, you'll be the first call.
That's
You'll be
right,
the first
that's
one.
right. I know. Yeah. Cowboys.com especially. They're dying to get me out there. Now, Caleb Downs, some context on this. This was the most fortunate thing to happen to the Cowboys since. Was it Micah coming down there? And obviously we know what, I'm not talking about Micah, what's happened now, but I mean, he ends up being one of the great pass rushers in the game. What did this remind you of anything, because it came across at least as extremely fortunate for the Cowboys that they would have this opportunity, so much that they're like, we better go up just on the off chance somebody's getting ready to pass us, which, by the way, the Steelers should have done. Yeah,
exactly. Same kind of thing that Pittsburgh was dealing with. If they had a thought process that somebody was going to trade up to go get Mekhi Lemon, and they wanted to go and do that. Yeah, I think this is the most fortunate Dallas has been, at least since 2020, maybe longer than that, whenever CeeDee Lamb fell to 17. That was a pick that was talked about heavily through the draft process, just as a reminder that Dallas needs defense, but an offensive player was not off the table. And I know for a fact had some offensive players that were very highly graded in their draft class throughout the process. But the reminder also serves as crazy circumstances can fall in your lap. And when you're ready for it to fall in your lap and you are aggressive, why let it go to chance? Why take it for chance? And I think that's what Jerry Jones was saying last night. There was a chance, because Dallas had been so heavily forecast to be a defensive-minded team in the draft process, that a team could say, Caleb Downs is on the board, let's trade with Miami at 11, just to make sure that he isn't the one that lands with Dallas. Well, Dallas said, before anybody even thinks about it, let's get on the phone with Miami and work something out. So I think it's a great clinic of drafting. You go up one spot, get your guy. Then you go down 3 spots, and you not only replace the 2 fifth-round picks that you used to go up one spot, but you actually bettered them by bringing in 2 fourth-round picks. So you leave the day with more draft capital that you entered the day with, and you had the best player defensively on your board remaining, and a difference maker on the secondary level.
It's hard to remember a pick being so universally praised, right? This is a team that is pretty polarizing. So I think sometimes people want to have a negative response, right? Okay, what's the negative angle? I mean, even my buddy, people would accuse my great friend and podcast buddy Ed Werder of occasionally leaning toward a more cynical take on something. I've been known to do it, but this is an interesting one because it's hard to find really anything to knock this pick. Maybe a little easier on the Malachi Lawrence. Downs, if you're going to say anything negative, I think there's questions on like what the speed actually is, because he just didn't really test there and probably doesn't have the longest arms in the world. But again, you're not asking, he's going to be playing off the ball. He'll be in the box some, but the things we think of, we knocked Reuben Bain, Cassius Howe, others for the long arms. I don't think that's something with a safety you get overly concerned about. But I couldn't help but think, I was glad somebody sort of brought up Woodson, because, I mean, it's a lot to put on the kid. This is not like, oh, you're going to be Darren Woodson. But it's just the first safety they've taken that almost has a lot of those attributes. Come up to the line of scrimmage, cover a slot, be able to do so many things. I find it interesting that Jerry seems to be so nickel oriented, nickel. And like Saban said, Nick Saban was like, no, I wouldn't get caught up in all that about putting him up there and putting him up there to play the nickel. I'd let the kid play safety and let him play from back, to front. I find that interesting that already there's kind of some thoughts on, here's what I would do with him. Here's what we're planning to do with him. How do you, when you hear all those kinds of things, what does that make you think of? And how do you really think the Cowboys are going to best try to utilize him? I guess they're going to try to move him everywhere.
Yeah, I think that's ultimately what it is. If Christian Parker is going to play a multiple scheme where it's a 3-4 base for 15 to 20% of the snaps, and then it's a 4-2-5 formation for 60 to 65% of the snaps, you're going to see Caleb Downs all over the formation. You're going to see him as a nickel. You're going to see him as a free. You're going to see him as a strong down in the box. His tape toward the line of scrimmage, you bring up Darren Woodson, his college tape in terms of what he did at Ohio State, Caleb Downs at the line of scrimmage is as good as any safety I've ever evaluated. And I, of course, haven't been doing it as long as most of the individuals that are in the draft room for Dallas. They say the same thing, that his line of scrimmage presence and what he did in the box and going downhill was really, really elite. And that's where you can use him as a nickel. You can use him as a safety and just let him go to work. I think another thing with Caleb Downs that people are maybe concerned about, if there is a concern to be had, is his ability to cover the shifty slot receivers that are in the NFL today. That's not what he's being asked to do. He's going to be asked to cover some running backs. He's going to be asked to cover some big tight ends in certain situations. He's not asked to cover these slot guys that are smaller, quicker, shiftier wide receivers. He's going to be asked occasionally to cover those guys in the slot that aren't as good of a route runner. And I think even if it's a slower but a route runner technician, guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think Caleb Downs is just fine covering guys like that. It'll be the shiftier guys like the Tyreek Hills and even a Mekhi Lemon and what he's going to bring to Philly. That might not be the best matchup, but there are other matchups that they're going to be able to utilize.
All right, what are you looking for today as you get ready for this, the 92nd pick, and then the Cowboys get those 2 4th-rounders? And you've heard that this draft apparently around that 4th and 5th round, that's where a lot of the value is and everything. Where do you think and I want to get back to Malachi Lawrence here in a second, but where do you think the Cowboys really dig in as they now advance in the draft?
I think the biggest thing right now on everybody's mind is, where is your middle linebacker? Who are you going to put at middle linebacker? Are you going to use one of these day 3 picks to maybe trade for a veteran? Are you going to move up, be aggressive to try and get back into day 2 and not just pick at the 92nd overall selection? Maybe move up a little bit and go get yourself a linebacker if you start to see one slipping on the board. Or do you get lucky in staying there at 92? Some of the names like Jacob Rodriguez from Texas Tech, or Josiah Trotter from Missouri, or a CJ Allen with the medicals that he has out of Georgia. Maybe he starts to fall a little bit. I don't think any of those 3 players are making it to 92, but if they start to fall enough and you want to try and go up and get it, maybe that's the thought there for Dallas. But I think now that you've really revamped the secondary with all the input that you've put there, I think you're solid in the secondary for now. You can maybe add a corner. You can maybe add another edge rusher and feel pretty good about that. But the biggest hole glaring on your defense right now is linebacker. And I think today we'll get a little bit more clarification on what they'll do moving forward with that. And if not, it may come tomorrow in the clarification there.
All right, Malachi Lawrence. What did you think going in? I think some people would say, could it have been a bit of a reach? It's going to be interesting because the player who went ahead of him, that's the way we do things, right? It'll always be tied. Okay, what's his career going to be like? What's Lawrence going to be? I think everybody agrees the size and the speed are uncommon, and there's a lot of positives about him. I kind of hear people say maybe he needs to add some strength, maybe needs some help there at the point of attack. What did you kind of think about him going in and then landing him there? What do you think about the fit for the Cowboys?
Yeah, Malachi is a guy that I didn't pick up until later in the draft process, mostly because he was under the radar at UCF, and there were a couple of edge rushers there. There was a Nigel Kelly that was also really good last year, and I liked his tape as well. I have a 3rd-round grade on his teammate. But when it comes to Lawrence, I didn't get on to him until after really the NFL Combine was concluded. and the measurables started to come out. And wow, this guy's got off the charts measurables. He's got some good film. He's got a number of things that this team does value, and he's an NFL ready player now in terms of the pass rush ability, but then he can grow into the type of player that could really play a long time in this league. And if you're able to get a 5th-year option on a player like that and an edge rusher, then you do it. You spend that 5th-year option and draft a guy like that in the first round, as opposed to maybe waiting to day 2 where you don't really have any picks at the moment to try and go get him. I had him as my 33rd overall player. I had him as my 6th edge rusher. There was only one guy that did not go that I had above him in the first round, and that was TJ Parker out of Clemson. That's the only guy I had above him that didn't get drafted. So Lawrence, to me, still fit the value for the position and for the spot at 23. So they're getting an edge rusher with a 5th-year option. They have a plan for him, which a lot of times I'm grading based on what he would fit in anywhere. If Malachi Lawrence is a fit in Baltimore or Tampa Bay, the same way that he's in Dallas, then maybe he's still the 33rd overall player. But Dallas had him much higher because they had a plan for what they would utilize him as, and it's a versatile plan to where it fits in a multiple system, just like what Christian Parker's trying to put together.
All right. I liked the radio moment last night and on DallasCowboys.com when y'all were talking about Will McClay getting animated before that 23rd pick. And now it'll be kind of interesting because then they said later that there was a big discussion in there about between like Lawrence and maybe a player. Did Jerry say something along the lines of that player went quite a bit before that? I don't know. Again, we'll find out later if it was like Messidor or whoever, but that kind of stuff is kind of fun when you see some consternation or some interesting things going on in the war room, and you don't want to make too many leaps about, okay, who are they arguing over? But it does add to the suspense and the enjoyment, of the draft.
I'll give you two answers here because I think there are 2 separate occasions where Malachi Lawrence was debated against a certain player. One player was off the board at 15, and that was Reuben Bain. Who did they have as a higher player? Was it Lawrence or was it Reuben Bain? And the decision really came down to the measurables, which favors Malachi Lawrence. So I don't know for sure, so I'm not reporting anything or breaking any news here.
Yeah.
But I believe Lawrence was the pick if they were both on the same playing surface. I don't know that for sure, like I said, but just based off of what I was hearing. When it came to on the clock, when they were on the board, there was another discussion between him and another player that remains on the board now. I don't want to give away that name because, of course, they want to see what happens on day 2. But there's a player that they were debating there along with Malachi Lawrence, and it came down to the medicals, and it came down to who they felt like was cleaner there, and then also not to mention the fit and what Christian Parker, Brian Schottenheimer, and the coaching staff wanted to do. They've kind of been the tiebreakers between the front office and the scouting department. They wanted to be the tiebreakers. The coaches ultimately sided toward Malachi Lawrence. So there have been some heavy debates, and one thing that I've been really impressed with for Brian Schottenheimer is the amount of conviction he forces people in the war room to have. He, ever since taking over and taking his first draft last year, the amount of times that I've seen him really take charge in a war room, in a draft scenario, in meetings, it's really, really impressive. Some of the stuff that I think if you're able to watch behind the scenes for, it really is impressive. And it really changed the way that I thought about Brian Schottenheimer as a first-year head coach. And I'm sure when we go back and we look at what happened in the war room when this is all said and done and everything's in the books, I think we're going to say the same thing about him being the same as a second-year head coach.
All right. Well, Kyle, you're doing a great job on this draft. You do a lot of play-by-play. I got to ask you, coming from Midway High School in the greater Waco area there, what was the first game you ever called that was actually broadcast somewhere? Or maybe you even maybe you were working on your broadcast game, and you just kind of recorded it. But what was
if that's the case,
if
that's the case, the first thing I called was in my dorm room in North Texas, and it was a video game, and I put college football teams on CPU mode, and they just played against each other, and I would write up a board, and I would call the game as practice from my dorm room when I first started. But the first game that ever was actually on a broadcast, Kansas at North Texas for CUSA TV back in 2016 was the first game I ever called. Coming up on 10 years, it was August of 2016 was the first time I ever called it. And I believe it was a 2-0 Kansas win. And then since then, I've called way too many games and had a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, and do you have that Baylor baseball? We've heard you on that, and unfortunately, that TCU, boy, that was a heartbreaker, wasn't it? On I think the Saturday game, they and that may have been the one game you didn't do, so we can blame that one on you. But they had the game 4-3 going into the ninth, and it was a blown save, and end up losing that game 5-4, and then they ultimately lose the series. What is this is just a pure bubble team right now? Then they turned around and I think did they have a bad loss on the following Tuesday? Is this team, I guess right now, is just firmly on the bubble and would need to finish like really strong to get in the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, if they win their last 3 or 4 Big 12 series, I think they've got 4 left. I might be wrong. But they've got to really do some work down the stretch. I think they're a solid squad, great pitching rotation, and if they can find their way into the quarterfinals with the buys that are set up for the Big 12 tournament this year, I think Baylor baseball has a chance to make a run just because of their starting pitching and how much trust they have in their weekend starters. It starts on Friday, and they've really rolled into a good trio of guys. The bats sometimes will lack, but there are some young guys that they really trust. I really love what Janusek has been doing as a freshman. Tice Armstrong's a transfer from UTA that's just had an All-American type of year. I would be shocked if he doesn't get any sort of all-conference honoree possibility. He's been one of the best bats in the league. And the bullpen's been solid. I really thought RJ Rue threw the ball nicely against TCU. And then when you have Caleb Bunch as a closer that entered with a sub-1 ERA and 6 saves on the year against TCU in a 4-0 situation, you kind of anticipate that game to be over. But instead, he gives up the 3-run bomb in the top of the 8th to Chase Brunson, and then turns around and Chase Brunson has that bases loaded double in the top of the 9th to make it 5-4. Both of all 5 of those runs off the bat of one guy. Kind of a freak situation. It's one that I think TCU needed to keep their season alive, and now it puts Baylor in a situation where they have to really buckle down and revamp going into the latter parts of conference play. I think they're good enough to be a regional team. We'll see what the committee thinks whenever we get closer.
I bet as a little kid you were out there when Baylor was great, right? You were going out to the ballpark, and I was in college when they got lights for the first time, and I was out there that night. We had T-shirts, "Let There Be Light."
Yeah, I love it.
That was the first time. And then the ballpark came in about 98, the new ballpark or whatever. And we were in the press box, Kyle, at the time, and they hadn't yet put up any sort of protection. So you're just literally sitting in the press box, and those foul balls could come up there and take your head off. So
they didn't put that screen up there up top yet where it catches everything going your direction. There was one that would have been in our booth in the series, and I remember looking at Pat, and because I played baseball growing up, I remember just being like this, like ready to catch it, and then of course it hit the screen in front of us. But I was ready for it. Now it's funny you talk about the ballpark and it coming together. Mitch Thompson told us that the first weekend when they dedicated the ballpark back in the late 90s, Kirk Sarlos pitched in that series. The head coach for TCU was a closer in that series for Cal State Fullerton that weekend of the ballpark being dedicated. So Sarlos, who's now 5th-year head coach for TCU and was on that staff underneath Jim Schlossernagel for a long time, he was one of the closers in that first weekend at the Baylor ballpark, playing for a team off the West Coast that Baylor hasn't played in years. But, of course, we remember how good Cal State Fullerton was back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and he was a part of those runs.
Yeah. Is that where Augie came out of? Garrido? Like, where did
maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, back in the day.
Before he got to Texas?
Yes.
I
And
think
he
you're
had
right.
a great run at University of Texas. Hey, thank you. I'll be listening again this evening. You guys are doing a great job, and yeah, it's like refereeing. My gosh, but it's a really good group. It's a fun group. Everybody's got their own interesting opinions and way of coming up with things. So well done, and thank you for making the time today, Kyle. Great to have you on.
Of course, appreciate you, Matt. We'll talk again soon.
All right, our Central Texas audience can go to sleep happy tonight. They got to hear from their favorite son, Kyle Yeomans, and always good. We'll hear from Kyle's family members and that kind of thing. So really fun. Boy, he got dressed up for the event and everything. He looked great. And of course, that's for their TV coverage tonight, because in addition to it being on 105.3 The Fan, he's got the Cowboys.com, DallasCowboys.com, and so there's the video feed as well. And then, of course, I'm sure he has to step out and do all kinds of other hosting duties. So there's a lot of things when you work for those Dallas Cowboys. There's a lot of things that are there for you. Okay, here's what we're going to do, Kev. One more break, and then that was great to catch up with Kyle. I've gotten more information. Another big-time AFC executive has checked in with some really good intel on Malachi Lawrence and Caleb Downs as we continue to do the Mosley investigation. Kev, we'll also try to maybe listen in for just a little bit to the Doomsday podcast from last night, because Ed Werder and I were able to sound off on the Cowboys picks. All of that coming up next.
At Schmaltz Sandwich Shop, we don't just make sandwiches, we build them with fresh ingredients, bold flavors, and homemade baked bread every single day. Toasty on the outside, goodness on the inside. Schmaltz Sandwich Shop in Waco is locally owned and operated since 1975, with 2 locations in Waco, Town West off Valley Mills and downtown off 5th Street. Whether it's lunch, dinner, or just a craving, we got the perfect bite waiting for you.
This year, I made a New Year's resolution. I want every business to own a new copier from CTWP. Call me, Leroy the Copier Dog. Let's get you a copier delivered today. CTWP, your local copier company.
The Riesel Fair is back and bigger than ever. Bring the whole family for a day packed with fun, from thrilling rides, delicious food, local vendors, and live music Friday night. Saturday music begins at 2 p.m. Admission is $5 for adults, 2 to 12 years, $3, 2 and under are free. Mark your calendar and join us for the Riesel Fair, May 7th through 9th. The Riesel Fair, where memories are waiting just for you.
Everybody at Ecolife really has a passion and a real interest in helping people feel well. How much further can we go to get you feeling even better? It is a complete partnership between the two of us.
What if you could clean clean? With bio-based formulas and deep cleaning enzymes. No dyes, phthalates, or mystery ingredients. Just powerful pods for your dishes and laundry. Now you can, with drops. Made clean, made to clean.
It's not just a glove, it's a 44 Pro. Crafted with dedication, made for performance, and built to last. Get your custom glove today at 44pro.com and experience the 44 Pro difference. That's 44pro.com, 44 Pro.
It doesn't matter if your investment budget is small or big. All you need is Benzinga Pro and its powerful news alerts, price tracking, and portfolio monitoring. Subscribe now, and we'll skyrocket your portfolio today.
I am obsessed with helping business owners increase their traffic and turn it into profit through the power of Pinterest marketing. It's this amazing platform where people are looking for ideas, inspiration. They have a problem and they're actively looking for a solution.
It's hard to find supplements that work. No, thank you. Plant-based supplements made from the Earth's most powerful plants for your immune health, gut health, workouts, and more. Find out more at auraorganic.com.
Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. NordVPN.com. That's NORDVPN.com.
the Mosley Show. It is, man, what a day. What a fun day it is, the day after that first round when you can react to everything. Appreciative of Kyle Yeomans stepping in. Kyle's the point man on the DallasCowboys.com draft coverage, as well as 105.3 The Fan. And that's a good, he said they're going to be on the air of 48 hours. They're going to be on the air for like 20 of it. So pretty good run for those guys. And then last night, of course, late into the evening, they had the, we were listening to Jerry Jones and Steven and Will McClay and Brian Schotty Schottenheimer. So pretty good stuff. And really enjoyed that conversation. So we'll continue to pour out this information. We've got more things to share with you. I tell you what, Kev, let's listen in real quick on when the Cowboys called Caleb Downs last night. They traded up from 12. They gave up 2 5th-rounders, 2 5s to come up one spot because they, again, and Kevin, I know you were somewhat critical. I think you were more critical of the Cowboys trade down at 20 than you were of the trade up for Caleb Downs. Is that correct?
Yeah,
okay.
That would be less of the draft. Actually, recoup is better as far as picks. My issue is the in-division trade where now you are responsible for the Eagles' first 2 targets at wide receiver, and you now have to play Mekhi Lemon 8 times in the next 4 years. And every time he goes off against the Cowboys, the internet's going to go, ha ha.
We'll look at it. I mean, there's also the chance that you get 2 cracks now at these 2 4th-rounders. That you land something out of that. So you could be doing the ha-ha thing on Lemon, but if they hit on one of these players, and again, that's interesting. And again, everything's with a grain of salt during the deal. But what he said about the Cowboys kind of having a back and forth between Reuben Bain and Malachi Lawrence is very interesting. Now, what would they have done if Bain and Lawrence were both there at 23? I think the other thing is Messidor went the pick before, right? Who did the Steelers end up getting after they screwed up the Lemon pick? A lineman. Okay. Of some kind. I'm sure they're like, oh, it's great. Everything's great. But what a disaster. And I like that. Did you see that tweet I sent you? I thought that was kind of funny about how, like, when you wait too long on the fantasy draft and it auto picks for you, like that's what they said happened to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Although, in my opinion, that kind of happened to the Cowboys missing on Messidor. But once again, only time will tell that.
Well,
so that it's the two sides to me.
If they truly were between Lawrence and, I mean, differing minds can. There are some people that would prefer Lawrence. Some people would prefer Messidor. I think you would prefer Messidor's production and kind of where he did it. Okay, to Lawrence. Now, Lawrence, maybe from a size and speed and a pure pass rushing potential, honestly, maybe better than Messidor in that area. I would certainly probably value Messidor's production over. Although, I mean, you look at it, this guy at UCF had a ton of sacks and a ton of tackles for loss. I bet he had 20 sacks and 28 TFLs. I think I saw that number somewhere around there. All right, Kev, let's show our audience. This is the Cowboys' call to Caleb Downs last night.
On if they want him. Yes. Because we think he's too good a player.
For 2 5s, 180.
Say, hold on. He's not taking it.
Yeah. Okay, we got it. Hey, this is Steven. And we're giving them our pick, number 12, and we're giving them 177, 180. Miami. Are we good?
Turn it in.
Hey, man, congratulations. Caleb, you're a cowboy.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Oh, man, we're happy. Here's Coach. Here's Coach Schottenheimer.
All right.
Caleb, what's up, brother?
What's up, Coach?
Hey, congratulations, man. Hey, we get to play knockout a little bit more, man.
Hey, we're going to have to play knockout. I'm going to have to beat you in putting again.
Hey, damn right, brother. Hey, I can't tell you how excited we are, brother. This is the perfect spot for you. God, cannot wait. I hope you're excited, man. Hey, CP! Hey, hold on. CP wants to talk to you.
Caleb. Yes, sir.
You hear me?
Yes, sir, I hear you.
Hey, let's get to it, baby.
Let's do it, bro.
Hey, bro.
I felt it when I was there, too.
You already know.
I thank you for this, Coach.
Hey, man, we're going to make it happen, bro. Hey, look, we're going to make each
Yes,
other
sir.
great.
Yes, sir.
Let's get it done, man.
All right.
All right,
bro. That's good, Kev. I like that stuff. You know, I've watched just about everything in the world, and I hadn't really taken that piece of content. And but that's fun. It's fun to hear a kid's life changing, and in that moment, and Jerry, and again, will the Cowboys ever, in our lifetime, win another Super Bowl? It's unlikely. But will they ever go to another NFC title game? It's a little more likely, but still not likely, since they've gone 30 years without doing that. But when you have something really good and positive happen, that's an exciting thing. So the Cowboys, they hated giving up the 2 5s. Kev, it was just, and Jerry described it the right way. It was an insurance policy. It was guaranteeing. They knew the Dolphins were not going to do that, but they could not for sure. They could not for certain guarantee that somebody wasn't going to jump up there and get downs and do something with the Dolphins to beat whatever, So I don't really have a problem for it, especially since they got their 4s back. Now, to get those 4s, I say they got their 4s back. They got 2 4s. So in a way, they ended up getting better compensation, you could argue, because they had to give up some compensatory picks to ensure that they got downs. So all of that is interesting. Kevin, while we're talking about downs, I was trying to think of which way we wanted to go here because we've got some interesting audio and things. But I don't want to break up right now, Kevin, the momentum on this show. Let's listen to Pete Schrager. Peter Schrager. Now, last night, Schrager was part of the. Seemed like they had him on the show with Pat McAfee, and he was reacting.
He was in the
to a
trailer
lot of
with Tone Diggs. Yep.
With who?
With Tone Diggs.
Who's that? Is that the McAfee show guy?
Yeah. He's
okay.
Yeah.
I don't really know all these people because I don't watch that much. Although McAfee does some things I like. I know he's a Colts guy, so you probably like him. Let's hear what Peter Schrager, the ESPN NFL insider, had to say about the Cowboys' first round.
Of the evening were the Dallas Cowboys. Coming into the first round, the Cowboys had 2 huge glaring needs: pass rush and defensive back. And they got both of them, and they didn't mortgage the entire future of their franchise or give up the farm to get them. They held firm, they stood their ground, and they sat there at the 12th pick and only had to give up 2 future 5th-round picks to move up to 11 to land Caleb Downs, who was a player that I didn't think there was a chance in heck they would be able to get there. Downs is the perfect fit for new defensive coordinator Christian Parker, who is a super high-energy 34-year-old former defensive backs coach who comes from Philadelphia. Parker is going to use Downs in a lot of ways because he's versatile, he's smart, and boy, is he athletic. He's going to be a coach on the field for Parker. And what I love is that I use the NFL.com/IQ site, and I asked the AI assistant for an accurate analysis of Caleb Downs' NFL prospects. The site, which is powered by Amazon Quick, came back and says Caleb Downs has elite football IQ. That's huge for a first-year player. Elite football IQ. He's also got range. He's got playmaking ability. His production score is an 81 when you ask Next Gen Stats. And those numbers reflect a high floor, high ceiling prospect with legitimate star upside on the next level. I love the Caleb Downs pick. But then they get Malachi Lawrence in the 20s, and they did so by trading back a little bit. I typed into the AI assistant, give me a comp for him, someone in the NFL, and Josh Sweat's name came back. Josh Sweat won a Super Bowl with the Eagles and just got paid a huge amount of money by the Arizona Cardinals last offseason because he is an incredible athlete who makes big splash plays and can get to the quarterback. That's the hope for Malachi Lawrence. They got their pass rusher. They got their star defensive back. The Cowboys, they had themselves a night. Look, Dallas's defense was really bad last year, but if you're a Cowboys fan, you got to feel pretty darn good with how they did in night one. I'd be ecstatic about Caleb Downs, and I'd be really excited to see what they can get out of Malachi Lawrence. Cowboys fans, have yourself a night.
All right. There you go. Also, while the reviews are pouring in, and Kevin, remind me before we're done today, maybe during the landing, another big portal news. This will shock you. Michigan has landed another big. Oh, God. Oh, my gosh. Oh, I mean, why? Why do the rich just get richer? Why do they just get anything in the world they need and want? But that's what they do, man. They grow them big on that Michigan team. Dusty May has a juggernaut. And Michigan is the new UConn. You say, well, Matt, UConn's been to the national title game 3 out of the last 4 years or whatever. Yeah. I'm afraid Michigan is about to overtake the great Huskies. Wow. That is big. Okay. I did want to, I wanted to also, I thought this was interesting, Kev. This Bill Cowher, a former Steelers coach, was on, I guess he's still with CBS, isn't he? So this was probably some CBS coverage of the draft, which they would
Cowher was kind of everywhere because it's Pittsburgh. This is from Dan Patrick's show.
Oh, that's right. Dan Patrick's show. Because they were in Pittsburgh for the draft. By the way, Kev, that looked pretty awesome. Downtown Pittsburgh, they said like 300 and something thousand people showed up. Like 320,000.
No one hosts an event like my city of Indianapolis. It's just true. Everything's centrally located.
Well, I don't know. Why would you say that when I'm bragging on Pittsburgh? I mean, it looked awesome. Why would...
It's in a parking lot.
God, they had over 300,000 people show up.
They had more people show up than the population of Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's not true.
Pittsburgh proper. They were talking about with the commish on Pat McAfee, and the population of Pittsburgh is 307,000. Pittsburgh proper. There were over 320,000 people there last night.
You're saying maybe a couple people came in from out of town? Although I did read something.
Centrally kind of located for a lot of different NFL cities.
I did see something interesting. They said it must have been a ton of locals because one of those sports business things said that everybody's always like the draft will bring $150 million to the city and all that. And you never know if it actually does, right? You really don't. And they said that the hotel occupancy in Pittsburgh, and you would think, well, it's got to be just through the roof, 60%. Even though 320,000 people showed up at that draft. It's a good scene. It's a good scene. Yeah. I did not know you were going to get Mr. Indianapolis Chamber of Commerce. You really should. That would be a good place for you to retire. Is just to go run the Chamber of Commerce there at Indy. Nobody loves
the winters
that place
suck.
like
I will
you
say
do.
that.
Believe me. I've been there for the combine several times. All right, it does suck. Although the Baylor No, I think we got nice weather when Baylor was there for the national title game, but I guess that was a little bit post-winter. Yeah, it was 1st of April. So the weather had broken finally by then. Okay, let's listen to Bill Cowher, the former Pittsburgh head coach. He had this to say about the Cowboys picking Caleb Downs, and this will excite Cowboys fans.
Downs, to me, is a guy that I think is one of those types of guys that you could put him anywhere in the field. Reminds me a lot of Troy Polamalu.
Okay.
You know, and Troy Polamalu was a very disruptive player. And
Was he allowed to do whatever he wanted to?
He wasn't. He earned the right to do that. So, one thing, he made a lot of mistakes his first year, and I remember a couple of times, like, I would go into the facility over here, and he was always in there. He was the first one in there and the last one to leave watching tape. And the only other person that was much as him was Rod Woodson.
Oh, yeah.
These guys watched more tape. They were looking for any competitive edge they could get, whether it be a stance, whether it be a split, whether it be a formational thing that they saw on the road, at home, certain ways that people did it. So it got to a point where, I just remember telling Chris Hope, and I actually told Ryan Clark, and I saw him last night. I said, one of the first things I told Ryan Clark, I said, listen, you're coming in here. I said, I just got to tell you one thing. Troy Polamalu is going to do some things that are unorthodox, and at times he will not play the defense, and I need you to be able to cover up for him. He goes, what do you mean cover up for him? I says, because he's not going to follow the defense. He goes, you don't have to follow the defense around here? I go, no. I go, he doesn't have to follow the defense, but you need to be able to cover up for him. He goes, what do you mean cover up for him? I said, well, if it's too deep and he sees something, he may blitz. I said, well, how do I cover up for him? I said, well, you start talking to the two corners and tell them to back up. Now we're playing a 3-deep defense suddenly, and I said, and we'll just go from there. And he goes, can anybody do it? I go, no. I go, and he goes, how often is he wrong? I go, not often. I said, the one thing I don't want to do is harness him. Because when he had a feel for something, and he could play very free and do things that were disruptive, you don't harness greatness. And I think the biggest thing you do, and I learned that a little bit with Ben, is like, let him do his thing. Yes, there's structure. Yes, there's guidelines. Yes, there's an approach we have to it. But these are players that in the heat of the moment, they can acclimate to the situation. They get a feel for the game.
All right, that's good.
I
like that. I liked all that. And I just we needed to hit a couple more things. And so I didn't want to go too far there, but interesting. And boy, if you missed right at the start, that's what he was saying. He was Caleb Downs reminds him of Polamalu. Well, for Bill Cowher, that's one of the biggest, that's one of the most unbelievable compliments he could ever give someone. And just because there were players, there are safeties, and it goes all the way back to like Cliff Harris in Tom Landry's famous flex defense. They were so great that even though the flex, Landry liked it to be done a certain way, Cliff and Charlie Waters were so great that he let them sometimes freelance within that. And that's a little bit what Cowher was getting to with some of his players and in talking about Polamalu. And to compare, say that Caleb Downs reminds him of that is just a huge, huge compliment. Now, Kev, I did want to say real quick, I did get another executive has come in and weighed in on these players. All right, this is a top. This is an AFC executive on Downs. Here's what I got: talented, scheme versatile, with instincts, play speed, range, zone feel, man-to-man ability that can be good in coverage, factor in run support, play back or play down. If there's a small knock, just lacks a little length. We talked about that. All right. Arms are not that long. Okay. But that's not, and I think he's probably talking also about his height. I think he's about 5'11". He's a playing dude though. he will come up and hit you. In that respect, he's probably not quite as big. Since we brought up Woody, since we brought up Kevin, we brought up Darren Woodson, that is something to mention there. Now, here is what the same executive said about Malachi Lawrence. Cowboys get him with the number 23 pick after trading down out of that, trading with the Eagles, something they did in 21. And, you know, Kevin, we talked about it back then. That was the pick. Cowboys end up with Micah. All right. So worked out beautifully for the Cowboys. You know, I know the way it ended was unfortunate, but you could still argue even then it worked out because they got all this draft compensation, all these picks, and Kenny Clark, of course. But he was a great, great player the Cowboys ended up getting. Who did the Eagles get? Well, they got Devontae Smith. So now, because of this trade, they traded up and got Mekhi Lemon. Cowboys helped them do that, allowed them to do that. Right? Now, if Mekhi Lemon goes on to greatness, we'll be talking about that. But again, as we talked about with Kevin, Cowboys get 2 fourth-rounders. Who knows? Maybe one of them will hit. Maybe one of them will hit. They got that compensation, and they got Lawrence. And you know what? If Malachi Lawrence ends up being a great pass rusher, the Cowboys aren't going to mind too much Mekhi Lemon being a great player. Now, he may torch them. Who knows? Who knows? But I think they'll be able to live with this trading down. Now, you say, well, Matt, they could have taken Mekhi Lemon. Well, they didn't want a wide receiver. You know, apparently they're at least going to let, and then that was the other big news, Kevin, we haven't even mentioned today, is that before the draft last night, the Cowboys said that they announced, or it was a report that the Cowboys George Pickens was going to sign his franchise tag. All right, so that takes a little bit of drama out of that because once you sign that, you do have to show up at all the mandatory stuff, training camp, the mandatory mini camp. Now he could skip some of this voluntary stuff, but the stuff you have to be there for, you know, like the games, for instance, you got to be there. You got to be there. So he's going to sign that. Now it does two things. It does allow the Cowboys to trade him, but last night Stevens said they have, quote, zero intention of trading George Pickens, and at least for one day of the draft, that held true. Go ahead.
Come on. The timing is very conspicuous, we will say.
Well, yeah, that's what Bill Barnwell told us yesterday, but it is interesting that he went ahead and signed it. And the fact that he signed it, but what the conspicuous part of that is, it does allow them to do the trade. Now, as of now, the Cowboys are saying there is a full intention of him playing this season. But now, again, Kevin, to your point, they traded for him after the draft last year. They gave up a third-round pick, and he far exceeded any expectations and was great. So, could somebody come for Pickens after the draft? The answer is yes, because in order for him to be traded, he needed to sign the franchise tag. Well, that's happening. That's happening now. So I guess that's what you're getting at, Kevin, is that you, in your mind, this happening now, whenever it happened, allows a possible trade to happen. Right. Now, the problem is they didn't pick a wide receiver. Now, who knows? Maybe at 92, maybe there's somebody and we go, oh, this guy's going to be great. But he's probably not going to be he's not going to be as good as Jordan Tyson or Carnell Tate or Omar Cooper or one of those guys. So I think my belief right now, could the Cowboys trade for another wide receiver like they did with Pickens? Yes, they could. After the draft, they could. But I think the way this has played out so far, Kevin, is that this guy is going to show up and play on the franchise tag. You feel otherwise?
looked at this and it was signed an hour before the draft started, it felt like it was a sort of a it was them saying, hey, if you want to be traded, you have to sign this. And it was it wasn't demanded, but it was like, if you want this option, then you have to sign this and you have to deal with all the fallout that could happen. And so it seemed to me this was the Cowboys at least wanting options at that point to have that and forcing him in some way to do that.
Well, yeah, but they didn't take a receiver, and they don't really have another option other than George Pickens right now. They got him under contract now for $28 million
right
for next season. So
and
there's not a lot of other.
So maybe that's the backside positive is, well, at least now we don't have any drama. Now he has to show up. We use it.
Believe me,
we say if you want traded, you have to sign this, and then we can say, well, we didn't want to trade you anyway, so now you have to show up.
We can still find drama, I promise.
I know.
Man, I'm sorry, Kev. I wanted to do that doomsday cut, but we've kind of run out of time here because I was really enjoying our conversation and all the stuff we've done. So let's save it, and if there's a way we can use it Monday, maybe we use it, because I did think it was kind of cool that Ed was able to talk to some people and get some intel on Lawrence and Caleb Downs. Unless, Kevin, you think we should play like 2 minutes of it. Are you good? Are you good with us waiting till Monday?
I think wait till Monday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Oh, the landing. It's the landing. This is where we land every single day of this show. Should we do a show tomorrow, Kevin? Hey, that special show last night, I mean, I don't know. Do we take credit, Kevin? Does Pete take credit? Does Stephanie take credit? I don't know, man. We looked up and we kind of had to do some things at the last minute to rig it up the right way. And
I wasn't there, so I'll take credit.
You weren't there.
Yeah.
I was, even when we had a couple of issues, I was ready to blame you. No, the 13,000 people at one point were in there watching our live show on YouTube. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. And I again, Twitter, YouTube, wherever they were taking it in, but I think it was showing on YouTube that there were about 13,000 people. So pretty cool. We were out there in Argyle. The Argyle Open is where it was. And so there you go. Okay, Kev, strong work, buddy. And the landing. Thank you, Brazos Landing. Thank you so much. Man, it is awesome. I'm trying to decide. We got a big Baylor thing tomorrow, and I'm just making all my decisions right now because I got all this draft coverage to do. Kevin, the last thing I was going to say, though, an executive said this to me about Malachi Lawrence, second pick for the Cowboys in the first round. They traded down from 20 to 23, and they selected the UCF great Malachi Lawrence. Good rusher with speed, bend, and close off the edge. Good size with length and range to chase down plays. Has get off with length and hand use, rushing the passer. Will just need to get stronger and be a more sturdy point of attack. POA, we call that. Sturdy point of attack presence versus the run. Kevin, if you're not good against the run, you've come to the right place. This is what they do in Dallas. They are not sturdy against that run. All right? This is not sturdy in that area. But getting better. Quinnen, pretty good against that run. Kenny Clark, pretty good against that run. We'll see if Ezeraku gets a little better. They got a pass rusher, and they got a big-time DB. Now, day 2, what do they do at 92? And what if Jacob Rodriguez starts to drop and he's kind of not getting taken in the second round?
The Colts pick at 47. He's not making it past the Colts.
You think they love him?
I think that their need for linebacker is way too great to not have their first pick be a linebacker.
He's awesome, but don't forget there's another guy that's got some medicals. Who's that one guy that Kyle mentioned? Dang it, who was that? He mentioned that. Who's from? Who's Allen? Who's CJ Allen? Is that the Georgia
Allen
kid?
From Georgia. Yep.
He's the what from Georgia?
Yeah.
By the way, I thought the biggest reach last night, you were asking me like who had a bad draft. I thought the Rams thing was like, okay, all right. I mean, did you really need to take Ty Simpson there? Really? I mean, or was there going to be some run, like, oh my gosh, we got to get Ty Simpson. Okay, that was a weird one. Honestly, I just don't think he's going to be that great is the biggest reason. But number 19, Minnesota Vikings. They take the kid from Florida, and that kid, like, I think just even a few weeks ago, we're like, does this kid still have a foot? Is this kid still able to run? It is like he'll be ready for training camp or whatever. There was like a report that came out on that. Now, this kid's name is Banks. Is it Caleb Banks? He is a monster.
Yeah.
He is a monster. Like, in terms of just get off the bus, and you're just like, oh my, though. I have so many questions on that kid. I mean, and you know who else does? The team he played for, the Florida Gators. I mean, he had his moments there, but he also had his moments where it's like, okay, man, y'all go get Caleb. We're going to need to help him off the field because he's out of breath. He's out of breath. Let's go get Caleb. Well, hey, Caleb's been in there eating for a while. Let's go get him out of the training room. That one right there was like
my greatest reach is nothing to do with the player, but everything to do with where they did it, and that is this man, Jeremiah Love, going 3rd overall and basically resetting the running back market in the draft to a team that already had 3 good running backs, including Tyler Algier, who just was brought in as a free agent. I told you they controlled the draft, and they did, because a lot of things were different because he was already gone.
They tied up a lot of money in a position you're not supposed to tie up money in.
$50.5 million, all guaranteed over the next 4 years.
And as you said, that's the most ever at running back.
And their quarterbacks right now are Jacoby Brissett and Gardner Minshew.
I think Barkley had been like the most. I wondered what Trent Richardson was back in the day because he went 3 back when those things were. There wasn't really the rookie wage scale, I think, when that happened.
Yep.
That's scary. I mean, he's great, but, I mean, if I'm a team, that kid that they got at the end of the first round, I would have been pretty happy to have him. Jadarian somebody?
Jadarian Price.
I've been happy to have him. You want to hear that haiku one more time? Let me give you that haiku. I love a good haiku. I like your explanation of the haiku. I was very impressed. Your mom did a nice job. She deserves credit for that. Let's see here. Okay, here it is. This is the Malachi Lawrence haiku that a major AFC executive gave me when I was asking around. Size and speed in full, but his eyes wait on the prize, and he gets blocked bad. Here's the Caleb Downs haiku. All right. The great Caleb Downs. There he is. Well, Kevin has been, one of the things Kevin is best at is like big events. He gets very excited when we have a draft, even though his Colts sat that one out last night because they have Sauce Gardner. They can just remember, guys, you have Sauce Gardner. You should be so excited. Here's the haiku for Caleb Downs from this top executive. short arms and too slow. All he does is make big plays, and he will do so for the boys. I love it. I love the haiku. And those are your final haikus. And great stuff. All right, man, good show. Fun to have Kyle Yeomans, one of McLennan County's favorite sons, big-time play-by-play guy who's heading up the Cowboys draft coverage, Cowboys TV, and then Cowboys 105.3 The Fan, their big radio stuff. Does a great job. Great to have him on with us. It is the Mosley Show. What a week it has been. We'll watch what the Cowboys do tonight at Pick 92. We'll watch what the Colts do. We'll watch what everybody does. We'll react. And then the entire draft. Third day is, of course, on Saturday. And we'll all sit around and react Monday at 1 o'clock on the big show, the Mosley Show. And by the way, NBA as well. These by the time we meet Monday, at least one of these series will probably be over. And then we'll be able to update you on everything else. We may have 2 series that are over by then, okay? Because we may get a couple of sweeps. And I looked up last night. I think the Hawks did it again. My gosh. And then what about these sad little Rockets? Will they have been closed out by the time we come back? McCollum. And, of course, they've got my favorite coach, Quinn Snyder. Love these Hawks, man. They're getting this thing done. That's what you want in the first round. You want some guys that'll go in there and go, we know who we are, and we know the Knicks are supposed to beat us, but we're going to show up and play you guys anyway. And they are putting it to them.
The Knicks are doing playoff Knicks things, and Brunson may be the best clutch player, but absolutely not in the playoffs.
Well, he has been in the playoffs in the past, maybe just not in this postseason. Don't act like even in that Pacers series, that was not a problem. That was Hallie in the Pacers being clutch. That wasn't
him down. Neesmith shut him down.
Not clutch. He had some huge games in that series. He did. You do not end this show besmirching the good name of one Jalen Brunson. That's false.
Good name. That's
false
funny.
Information. He's great. He was supposed to be nothing. And he's ended up being an NBA superstar. I'm sorry.
Regular season, yes.
Oh, my gosh. All right. Get your little shots in. It is the Mosley Show. Thanks, Kev. Have a great weekend, and we will see you. We gave you like 15 extra minutes. Wow. Bonus coverage. It's the Mosley Show. Good night, everyone.
Central National Bank, this is Nikki. How may I help you?
Yes, can you please transfer me to the loan department?
You want to transfer?
Yes, please.
I'm sorry, you can't transfer right now.
What?
Have a good day. Yes, how may I help you?
Hi, I would like to transfer money from my C&B account to another bank.
Absolutely not. No. Have a great day.
Wait,
I'm on your website and I'm trying to find the link for your payment portal.
The portal is currently unavailable. Have a great day.
We've received a few complaints.
Correct. We no longer allow any outgoing transfers, only incoming.
But the good news is, no money is leaving the bank. Like, none.
Good job. Central National Bank, proud partner of Baylor Athletics and Baylor Women's Basketball.